Greetings, and welcome to the 4th episode of Morrowind Modding Showcases. I'm your host, Dark Elf Guy, and I, as always, will be your narrator this evening. Now, this episode was actually filmed a couple of weeks ago, on account of my being on holiday last week, so I apologise ahead of time if we didn't get to all your suggestions. Anyway, as usual, you can find the download links for all the mods showcased in this episode down in the description below. And why don't we go ahead and get started with our popular mod of the week, which this week is Morrowind Comes Alive by Neoptolemus. This mod adds randomly spawned NPCs, like this traveller, to the world in order to breathe more life into the game's cities and roads. You'll find a wide variety of characters, like this noblewoman, and this bard, as you explore Vvardenfell in a way you've never experienced it before. You'll also find caravans and travelling merchants on the road, and they'll offer you a number of goods for sale. Here's another one. They spawned randomly, so they may be there one day and gone the next. You'll never know where they'll show up. You'll find taverns are full of new NPCs, from house agents, to rogues, to nobles, to commoners. You'll even find courtesans, although these are optional and may not be in your game. Now, not only you shop at stores with NPC customers dropping in as well. You can also find brigands on the roadways, and they'll occasionally drop some good loot, though usually they don't have a whole lot. Depending on your setup, you may even encounter large bands of enemies in the wilderness. Better run, I think. Combine this with last week's Hostiles mod for even more wilderness madness. Some new NPCs can also be found in dungeons. And you'll find bands of pilgrims who will also travel the world in search of shrines and places to visit. You can even find a few new companions to fight alongside you. All of this and much more can be found in Morrowind Comes Alive by Neoptolemus. For our house mod of the week, we have Stavrogans of Spellen. Our Spellen is a hidden little home in the Sheogoran region. The interior is built completely out of new meshes created by the author, using vanilla textures. It includes a cozy fireplace with a number of game trophies. There's also a hammock and several bookshelves. Not to mention a Duma Sparta Centurion companion to keep you company. There's a study that includes a small alchemy lab as well. There's also plenty of room for storage and display. with a training room and armory attached to it, and a nice treasure vault to hold all your gold and goods. Gameplay mod of the week is Prison Moons Enhanced 2 by Spirithawke, and originally designed by Nahtaivel. This mod adds floating satellites around the Ministry of Truth in Vivec that rotate at different speeds. Well, there isn't a whole lot to the mod. It's visually very appealing to watch the rocks orbit the Ministry of Truth day in and day out. It's a nice little immersion piece that just adds a bit to the game world. For our dungeon mod of the week, we have SoulofChrysamere's Daedric Rune expansion for Ramamilk, and now I'm not really sure how to pronounce that. As you might expect, this mod greatly expands the Daedric Shrine of Ramamilk, with new corridors, rooms, and opponents to fight. The expanded area of the dungeon is rather large and should keep you occupied for a little while. There's a number of side rooms, and even some hidden secrets to find if you keep an eye out. Some chambers are very large, and house a number of foes for you to defeat. And of course, there's a decent amount of loot to be found. As for our items mod of the week, we have Enhanced Economics by Crankgorilla. What this mod does is to add a bunch of new items, mostly from modders' resources from around the community, and put them in all sorts of leveled lists to make looting more fun and varied. Combine with the Hostels mod from last week, and you'll find that enemy NPCs will drop new loot as well. Enhanced Economics adds items to over 140 level lists, so you can find new stuff both in everyday containers and in the middle of dungeons. Here you can see only a small handful of the new items included in this mod. For sure, this is a mod to delight any hoarder. It's recommended you use this mod with Rymash's Merged Level Lists feature to avoid any potential conflicts with other loot mods. This week's quest mod of the week is PeterBitt's A Strange Plant. A Strange Plant adds a new series of quests involving the recently arrived from Cloud Rest, Elandril, and his obsession with creating potions from Nirn roots. The mod adds some new artwork detailing where the new plant Nirn root can be discovered. Indeed, Nirn root can now be found on the Bitter Coast, either directly next to water, as you can see here, or in one of the many swamps that populate the region. You can also find it all over the Ascadian Isles. After you collect enough, you can attempt to get some unique potions as a reward, though this may take a while, as you can see here. A Strange Plant is a nice, lore-friendly quest mod that adds quite a lot to the game, without changing a whole lot. For our landmass mod of the week, we have the English translation of the German mod Talmasoka and Talmatagaius by Fim. I have no idea if I pronounced those correctly. Hopefully I did. This mod adds a series of islands just north of Temerae built Port Salvanus, and just east of the moved version of Wizard's Islands. Here you'll find a rich landscape, with towns, dungeons, and even castles populating the terrain. The islands are quite rich in things to do, with a number of landmarks scattered about everywhere, as you can see here. and indeed, you can even buy a castle here as a player home. But you're going to have to do an awful lot of fighting to get rid of its undead occupants first, before you can enjoy the comforts of home. Now, this is a rather high-level mod, so you'll need to be fairly around 40 to 50 levels in strength before you can possibly survive. Once cleared, you'll have a fairly good player home to live in, with lots of storage and display room. The landscape is quite detailed and varied. Then you'll find some new alchemical ingredients as well. These islands are full of dungeons to discover and quests to do, so your time here will hardly ever be called boring. You may even find yourself facing off against some new opponents. With so many activities to indulge in and sights to see, Thaumasoka and Helmatogaius is a truly great locale for adventurers. Our NPC mod of the week this week is Fetches by MrHelp. This mod adds multiplayer to Morrowind, of a sort. At least the experience of talking to stereotypical people on the internet, anyway. These NPCs are companions, and you can give them a number of different orders, as well as companionship. There's quite a variety of commands you can give each NPC. You can find these companions in 3 different locations, and they all have MMO appropriate names. There's the badass, the noob, and the less said about the Khajiit, the better, really. They'll follow you on your adventures, and fight alongside you. I'd recommend using this mod with the hostiles from the NPC mod of the week last week, or Morrowind Comes Alive for more dynamic fights. You can also set your companions to guard a particular area, and they'll patrol it and kill any enemies that are nearby. Finally, if you really want to, you can steal one of their name tags and use it as your own. For our Modder's Resource mod of the week, we have Yulme's Dwarven Creatures mod. This resource adds 4 new Dwarven creatures for you to use, and you earn mods, as well as adding them to the leveled lists for Dwarven Ruins. In total, there's 2 retextured Dwarven Spectres that will attack you much the same way. And there's new Steam Centurions, like this double-bladed one here. He puts up a little bit of a fight, doesn't he? One of the new Spectres has Dwarven armour added, as you can see here. And the other new Steam Centurion is this hulking brute that can do quite a lot of damage with his blunt attacks. This week's underrated mod of the week is Inseparable Siblings by Reptile. Unlike most of the mods we've showcased so far, there's nothing particularly flashy about Inseparable Siblings. It's merely a quest mod with characters and a story. But what a story it has, with well realised characters that have pains and sorrows of their own. On your humble quest, you'll meet a variety of characters, from the traditionalists longing for the good old days of slavery and less interference from the Empire, like this fellow, to the drunken ex-slaver who believes in causing pain to others for more pleasure than for pay. And then there's the unlikely hero, who's notably not just you, but a Dunmer troubled by the happenings of slavery in his country. There are no dungeons here, no epic battles, merely a story woven across the lives of several characters looking for redemption and salvation. For our Blast from the Past mod of the week, we have Amalyan Temple by Michaelman13, Miles Aquarius, Unforgiven, and Eltiraaz. This mod adds a lovely island off the coast to the West Gash, and a rather impressive temple hidden away in a sheltered valley. The temple isn't just a temple though, it's more of an elaborate underground town, with shops, taverns and homes. Some of these shops are quite unique, and you can even buy stuffed scamps here. There's also a tavern with a host of different characters about. A number of the temple rooms are visually quite impressive. I've actually left most of them out of this video, but I'm only showcasing a handful of them. As you can see, they are quite stunning looking. You can even buy a few specialty homes here. There's 3 different main ones for sale. I personally went with Heavenly Spears, which is a large home in its own little valley. It comes with plenty of display and storage space. Not to mention a number of large open chambers. They can fill with your own things. There's also a lab and a library for you to use. There's also a few ruins and dungeons on the island for you to explore. Most of them are in the temple itself, but a few are scattered about the island. Our bonus mod of the week this week is JoiRor's Balmora Lighthouse. The Balmora Lighthouse is actually a player home, overlooking the city with a number of balconies, and quite a lot of detail. The house has a large amount of display and storage room. And near every nook and cranny has been put to some use. With a large number of furnishings and detail, the Balmora Lighthouse is quite cozy indeed. there's an alchemy lab with access to yet more storage and display room. So it'll be quite a while before you run out of space. Also included is a lovely dining room and adjoining kitchen that utilises a creative use of bookshelves to wide spaces. Finally, there's also 2 bedrooms. There's one for a guest or companion, and of course one for you to use. That's remarkably cozy. That's all for this week. We'll be returning to actively taking suggestions for future episodes this coming week, and by the time you watch this, I should be catching a flight back to Missouri fairly soon. I hope you enjoyed this video, and do give us a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more. Don't forget, all download links are in the description, including the ones for the background music, and let us know if there's any mods you'd particularly like to see next week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.